Hi students, this is Karimunisa Sayyed, Associate Professor in Zoology. I request you to send your queries and feedback to zoology.bcu@gmail.com. Today we shall have session 28. Under session 28, we are going to learn general characters of phylum Echinodermata under the zoology paper 2, which includes non-chordata part 2. So the main objective of this session is to learn the general characters of phylum Echinodermata so that we appreciate the design of animal body, which is often very complex, elegant, and at the same time remarkably precise as an adaptation to its environment. But before that, we must have learned the general characters of the non-chordates and their classification along with animal architecture. Now let us see what is meant by phylum Echinodermata. The term Echinodermata is derived from Greek words like echinos, which means spiny, and dermos means skin. So these animals are called spiny skinned animals as most of these echinoderms they have rough skin due to the presence of dermal protuberances like dermal papillae, which are small, soft, finger-like projections on the skin, and sharp, calcareous, hard spines, and also column-like podia. So because of this dermal papillae, dermal spines, and 2 feet, and apart from that, they also have pedicellariae, because of which the skin of these animals will be rough, and the animals are called spiny skinned animals. Surprisingly, echinoderms are well studied, and the phylum Echinodermata is one of the best characterized and most distinct phylum of the animal kingdom. Under this phylum Echinodermata, we have 5 important classes under which we have examples like sea stars and starfishes included under Asteroidea. Brittle stars, basket stars, and serpent stars are included under the class Ophiuridia. Sea urchins, heart urchins, and sand dollars are included under the class Echinoidea. Similarly, under Holothuroidea, we have holothurians or sea cucumbers, and sea lilies or feather stars are included under the class Crinoidea. So these are some of the pictures of various echinoderms. You can see sea cucumbers, cucumberia, are having cucumber-like elongated body with rough skin. Similarly, we have brittle stars with a well-marked central disc and elongated slender arms. That's why these animals are called brittle stars, as these slender arms can easily be broken, but they also have at the same time remarkable power of regeneration. Similarly, Antedon are the sea lilies, which are included under the class Crinoidea, which are sedentary. You can see they are having plant-like structure. Similarly, we can see the starfishes or sea stars here with little ill-defined central body or the central disc and short and stumpy broad arms. And we also have sea urchins in the phylum Echinodermata, which are having globe-like body. So coming to the general characters of phylum Echinodermata, it is customary to start with the study of habit and habitat of the animals. So these animals are exclusively marine forms. So needless to say, they are aquatic. Exclusively means they are not found elsewhere. We have to go to the sea waters to find them. At the same time, in the sea water, most of them are bottom dwellers. So they'll be found in the deep seas, and they are not very active animals. In terms of locomotion, they are sluggish. As already we have discussed, the surface of the body is covered by calcareous ossicles, plates, often bearing projections like tubercles, spines, and pedicellaria. Tubercles are nothing but the papillae. They form a compact and rigid test. So, which is again a characteristic feature of these echinoderms, which acts as endoskeleton. And when the animal gets dried up, when the animal dies, on the a test will be left over. Hence, the animals are also called spiny skin animals or echinoderms. Coming to the structure of the body, so the body may be star-like or star-shaped, spherical, round, or discoidal, or elongated cucumber-like. At the same time, we can also describe the symmetry of these animals because these animals are highly symmetrical and they exhibit radial symmetry. Not only radial symmetry, the body is also pentamerous. That means the body parts are arranged in 5 equal parts or in the multiples of 5. But the larvae of these echinoderms, they exhibit bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry means we can cut the animal body into two equal halves only in one plane, whereas radial symmetry means we'll be able to cut the animal body in more than one plane. Here we can cut the animal body into two equal halves in 5 planes. Similarly, we can also describe the animal body as triploblastic. That means the adult body structures are formed from the 3 primary germ layers: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. And echinoderms are also true coelomates. That means they have a true coelom. Coelom is the body cavity between the body wall and the alimentary canal, which is also lined by mesoderm. There is the epithelial layer. That's why the coelom is called here true coelom. And at the same time, we can also describe the body organization of these animals as organ system grade of body organization. That means they have well developed organ systems and they also exhibit true metamerism. But this metamerism is only internal. That means externally we will not be able to see their metamerism. So here you can see radial symmetry of the starfishes, which also exhibit pentamerous structure because of the presence of 5 similar arms. Proceeding with the general characters. So if you look into the surface of the animal, here the animal body is dorsoventrally flattened, because of which we have oral and arboreal surfaces. That is, on the ventral surface, which is also called oral surface, they have centrally located mouth, and from the mouth you will see 5 radiating ambulacral grooves into each arm. Similarly, the dorsal surface, which is away from the bottom of the sea, is called arboreal surface, as it also carries the anus. In between the ambulacral grooves on the oral surface, these animals also have interradial ambulacral region. So ambulacral grooves are actually located in the radial position of the each arm of the animal body. So here the ventral surface of the animal is called oral surface, which will have the mouth, and it is located towards the bottom of the sea, and the surface which is away from the bottom of the sea is called arboreal surface instead of dorsal surface. Coming to the body cavity, the body cavity of the animal can be described as oligometric. That means it consists of only few chambers. Unlike in the case of annelids, where we have segmentally arranged coelomic cavities, because the body cavity there it is divided into number of chambers due to the presence of septa. So here we have few chambers when compared to the annelids. At the same time, the body cavities can be divided into three types. That's why this arrangement of body cavity is called tripartite. That is, the body cavity consists of protocoel or exocoel. That is the first part of the body cavities. Then second part is called mesocoel or the hydrocele. And the third region of the body cavity consists of metacoel or the somatocele. But all these body cavities are in pairs. They are paired, and the origin of the coelom is enterocoelic. That means the body cavity is formed along with the enteron. Enteron means intestine or the gut. So in the embryonic stage, during the development, along with the formation of digestive system or the gut region, through the archenteron, you can see the formation of the body cavities. Unlike the schizocelic coelom, which is formed by the splitting up of the mesoderm. So thereby, here in the case of echinoderms, we can describe the origin of coelom or the body cavity as enterocoelic coelom or enterocoelic body cavity. And as usual, in the case of echinoderms also, the body cavity is filled with the coelomic fluid, which contains coelomocytes, which help the body by protecting the body from the invading germs. Apart from that, in the case of echinoderms, the metacoels or the somatocoels, they form main body cavity around the visceral organs, forming perivisceral cavities, and also mesocoels. They form the important, unique, and characteristic system of canals called the vatovascular system. So we are going to study vatovascular system in future sessions. Coming to the locomotion in echinoderms, they don't have well developed locomotory organs, but still they have the locomotory structures called 2 feet or the podia, which are pillar like structures, but they are very small, but they are tubular, and at the same time they are contractile in nature. So these 2 feet or podia are not only helpful in the locomotion, they also help the animal in feeding and also in the process of respiration. So here you are able to see the two distinct surfaces of the animal, that is oral surface, which we can identify because of the presence of mouth at the center of the disc, and the radiating ambulacral groove in each and every arm of the animal from the mouth towards the tip of the arm. Whereas on the arboreal surface, which also represents the dorsal surface of the animal, you don't see the ambulacral grooves, but instead at the center of the disc, we can very easily find out the anus. Whereas oral surface is nothing but the ventral surface of the animal, which will be towards the substratum or towards the bottom of the sea. Whereas the oral surface, as you see here, it will be away from the bottom of the sea. So apart from these characters, as I have been telling you, these echinoderms, they can be identified because of the presence of a unique system called water vascular system, which is derived mainly from the coelom, and particularly the left mesocele or hydrocele, and also part of the left protocele or exocele. They are involved in the formation of this water vascular system of starfishes. So water vascular system mainly helps the animal in the locomotion, in the respiration, feeding, transportation of food and waste materials throughout the body. So apart from this water vascular system, as usual, these animals do have a complete digestive system. So digestive system mainly consists of an alimentary canal and digestive glands. And the alimentary canal is usually described as complete if it is having both mouth and the anus. But here the alimentary canal of echinoderms is quite short, a small coiled tube, because the animal is dorsoventrally flattened or oroarborally flattened. Thereby, mouth of the animal lies at the center of the disc on the oral surface, whereas anus is placed on the arboreal surface. Coming to the circulatory system of these animals, which is poorly developed, and the circulatory system of echinoderms can be described as open type. Open type means blood will not flow in the blood vessels as in the case of higher organisms. Here, the blood flows in blood spaces or the lacunae. So thereby, circulatory system consists of lacunar system or hemal system. Then coming to the respiratory system, there is no well-defined respiratory system. Thereby, gaseous exchange occurs through tube feet and dermal brachiae or papillae in starfishes, through the peristomial gills in sea urchins, and genital bursae in brittle stars help the animal in the respiration. Genital bursae are nothing but sac-like structures lined with ciliary epithelium. So thereby they help the animal in the process of respiration. Similarly, in the case of sea cucumbers, you must have seen at the anterior end, they have highly branched tree-like structure that is called respiratory tree, which helps the animal in the process of respiration. Similarly, these animals, they don't have a specialized or well-developed excretory organs or the excretory system. So thereby, nitrogenous waste are directly diffused out through the gills or the dermal papillae. And the main reason is that the animal is, most of these echinoderms are aminotelic. That means the main nitrogenous waste excreted will be in the form of ammonia. And most of the aquatic animals, they tend to be aminotelic because most of these animals, they'll be surrounded by the water. So they don't have any problem with regard to the excretion of the ammonia. So ammonia will be excreted out as such, which is the main nitrogenous waste. So there is no need to convert the ammonia into urea and uric acid, particularly in the body of aquatic animals. So coming to the nervous system, again, the nervous system of these animals is said to be very simple because it is not located deep inside the body of the animal, unlike the other non-cardates or the cardates. It is located superficially just below the skin, so that's why it is said to be subepidermal in location. And also it consists of a simple ring of nerves or the nerve card forming is circumesophageal ring, from which there will be formation of radial nerve cards along each arm in the ambulacral position. Just because head is absent in these animals, even the brain or the cerebral ganglia is also absent. Coming to the sensory system. So sense organs are again poorly developed. That means they don't have well developed eyes or ears, though they are considered to be advanced type of non-cardates. But still, they include some simple sensory structures like tactile organs, which are sensory to touch, chemoreceptors, which are respond to the chemical stimulus, and also terminal tentacles. Coming to the reproductive system, reproduction in the echinoderms is sexual. That means there is no asexual reproduction. And these animals are also described as gonochoristic or gonochorism, which means unisexuality. We also have bisexual or hermaphrodite animals where we see both male and female sex organs in the single individual. But here, male and females are separate. So that's why they are called gonochoristic or unisexual. But gonads are simple. That means there is no much sexual dimorphism. They're very, very simple structures. So reproductive system is very simple. And both male and females, they produce their gametes and liberate their gametes in the water, in the external environments. Thereby, fertilization is external and the development is also external. The eggs are usually microlecithal and also homolecithal, and they undergo cleavage, which includes radial cleavage or the radial division of the X. The plane of division of the X is radial. And the development is said to be indirect here because of microlecithal eggs. There will be insufficient amount of stored food in the form of yolk for the developing embryo. So thereby development often tends to be indirect with the development of intermediate larval stages called bipinnarea larva or Pluteus larva or Arcularia larva based on the class of echinoderms. And the most remarkable and also again a distinct feature of these echinoderms is that they exhibit very great power of autotomy and regeneration, though we consider them as highly evolved animals. So with that, we have come to the end of today's session. So we have learned the general characters of phylum Echinodermata. So similarly, I have mentioned here some of the references which will help you go through further studies. Thank you.